What if Anakin was a Mandalorian? In The Phantom Menace, we saw Anakin join the Jedi Order, and from there, he spent the next 13 years working his way up until he eventually fell to the dark side. As a result, he became Darth Vader, and the rest is history. But what if things were different? What if Anakin was a Mandalorian? How different would things have been if he was a Mandalorian, not a Jedi? Well, in this alternate timeline, that's exactly what we'll be diving into, so let's get right into it. Our story begins towards the end of the Clone Wars. Just recently, Obi-Wan received a transmission from his old friend and lover, Duchess Satine Kryze. Satine was in trouble and shared that her planet Mandalore was being massacred. Sadly though, the Jedi didn't want to help, so Obi-Wan took matters into his own hands and traveled to Mandalore himself to rescue Satine. However, little did he know, her planet was actually being massacred by Darth Maul, who had full control over Mandalore and purposely arranged all of this as bait so that Obi-Wan would come. For years, Maul's been consumed by wanting revenge on Obi-Wan, and now he planned to make him suffer. So, as Obi-Wan arrived on Mandalore, he eventually found Satine, but it wouldn't be long before Maul and his army found them and captured them. Now, Obi-Wan and Satine were prisoners and were brought before Maul inside his throne room.
You can kill me, but you will never destroy me. It takes strength to resist the dark side. Only the weak embrace it.
It is more powerful than you know.
And those who oppose it are more powerful than you'll ever be. I know where you're from. I've been to your village. I know the decision to join the dark side wasn't yours. The Night Sisters made it for you.
Silence! You think you know me. It was I who languished for years, thinking of nothing but you. Nothing but this moment. And now, the perfect tool for my vengeance is in front of us. Now I will make you share my pain. Kenobi.
Satine! Satine!
Remember, my dear Obi-Wan, I've loved you always. I always will.
Do we kill him now, brother?
Maul smiled.
Bring him before me. Weak. Just like your master.
Kill me if you wish. But I will never embrace the dark side.
It would be my pleasure.
Anakin felt it before he saw it. The cold rupture in the Force. Something had happened to Obi-Wan, his master, his mentor, his brother, and most of all, his best friend. Rage swelled within him. Anger fueled him. However, he couldn't just stay and do nothing about it. So without hesitation, Anakin quickly got up and sprinted through the Jedi Temple halls, ready to leave at once. With that, he departed for Mandalore, ready to avenge his best friend. Anakin looked down. Before him lay two bodies, Duchess Satine Kryze and Obi-Wan. He was too late. Obi-Wan was dead. He was gone.
You... What have you done?
Without hesitation, Anakin ignited his lightsaber and charged towards Maul, but then, using all his strength, Maul used the Force to block Anakin's saber and prevent him from striking. Although he couldn't hold him for long, he did what he could in that very moment.
Arrest him.
Maul's troopers then went to handcuff Anakin, but that was a big mistake. As they got close, Anakin sliced down not one, but both of them with ease. Now, both of Maul's soldiers were dead, and the only ones in the room were Anakin, Maul, and Savage Opress. However, Maul couldn't help but smile throughout it all.
Brother, leave us. I shall deal with this Jedi myself.
As you wish.
Savage left the room. Now it was just Maul and Anakin.
What have you done?
Maul's eyes locked onto Anakin.
He died believing he could save the one he loved. Foolish and pathetic.
Anakin went silent. He kept looking down at Obi-Wan's lifeless body. He was horrified.
The Skywalker is it. If I am not mistaken, you are to be the so-called chosen one. No.
Enough!
Anakin ignited his saber once again.
As you wish, chosen one.
Maul ignited his darksaber. With that, Anakin leaped towards Maul and the two went head to head. However, with each strike of his blade, Anakin only became more and more enraged. His anger, his hatred, it flowed through him. Every time he struck, he was flooded with flashbacks. Flashbacks of Obi-Wan and how he was his everything. He was his brother. He was his mentor. But now he was gone. So Anakin kept attacking Maul, and as he did, he began to overpower him. Maul had never seen such anger in a Jedi before. Such raw power, such strength, such potential. Then out of nowhere, Anakin kicked the Darksaber out of Maul's hands and brought him to the ground. Now Maul laid there on the floor defeated.
You murdered him!
You are no Jedi. You have hatred. You have anger. But you don't realize it. But soon you will. You will belong to him. Darth Sidious.
Anakin froze. His emotions went cold. But then...
Brother!
Brother.
Maul turned around. Out of nowhere, Anakin force-pulled the Darksaber that was on the ground and threw it right through Savaj's chest. Now, Savage collapsed to the ground and green smoke clouded him.
Brother!
Silence!
You... What have you done?
With one strike of his blue blade, Anakin sliced Maul's head off. Now, Maul was dead and Anakin stood above his remains. However, as he stood there, he couldn't help but feel conflicted about so many things. Was that right what he just did? He's never felt anger more than that very moment. That wasn't the Jedi way. Jedi don't murder in cold blood like that. Was that wrong? And on top of that, what was Maul saying? Something about this Sidious person? Anakin's memory felt like a blur. He just felt heavy. Emotions swelled within him. However, the job was done. Although he would never get his best friend back, he knew that he avenged his death. So, as Anakin turned around, he went and rushed over to Obi-Wan's body. As he did, tears ran down his cheek. He felt pain. He felt suffering. He lost his mother, he lost Qui-Gon, and now he lost Obi-Wan. Anakin felt broken inside.
I'm sorry, Master. I'm sorry I couldn't save you.
Anakin was filled with emotions, heartbreak, sadness, and most of all, emptiness. However, as he stood there, he saw the Darksaber nearby that was on the ground. So, Anakin went to go pick it up. As he held it though, he realized that he never felt a saber so unique as this. There were rumors that the Darksaber felt heavy to many, but to him it felt perfect. Almost even better than his actual saber. Out of nowhere, tens, maybe even hundreds of Mandalorians rushed into the throne room. At that moment, Anakin was worried. Were they all going to attack him? However, that would be far from the truth.
For centuries, the Jedi have been our sworn enemies. But today, you did something no Jedi has done. You freed Mandalore.
Anakin had no words. Bo-Katan realized that although he held the blade, he looked lost.
The Darksaber. It's a symbol of power, legacy, and leadership. You defeated its wielder. And so, that makes it yours.
As she said this, all the Mandalorians in the throne room kneeled before Anakin. However, Anakin felt confused, lost even. He didn't come here for this. He only came here for Obi-Wan. So he shook his head, deactivated the blade, and held it out to Bo-Katan.
You can have it. I didn't come here for this.
As Anakin said this, an elderly Mandalorian then spoke up.
It doesn't matter what you came for. You are our leader now.
Anakin felt heavy again. Although he was honored, this didn't matter to him. So he dropped the saber back to the ground and said,
I don't want it. The job here is finished. And you're all free now.
With that, Anakin stormed out of the throne room and made his way back to Coruscant.
You were not granted permission to interfere with Mandalore's affairs.
Obi-Wan needed me. You let him go there alone. You let him die. All of you did. Say as you wish, but at least now his death won't be in vain.
As Anakin said this, the air tightened. Right now, the Jedi spoke of doctrine, of overreach, of dangerous precedent, but all Anakin heard was absence. He felt held back. He felt like an outcast. All he wanted to do was protect his brother and his best friend, and the council failed to do that. Now they have the audacity to scold him? To fault him for this?
Your actions on Mandalore was a violation of the Jedi Code.
And your actions were a violation of loyalty. Obi-Wan gave his life for this order, for this republic.
While we are deeply devastated by Master Kenobi's death, his loss was unfortunate. But such is the nature of war.
A war you brought us into.
Enough. This meeting is adjourned.
No.
What?
Anakin froze.
You wish to step away from your training? Anakin, you must understand that this is an extremely serious decision. You cannot make it lightly. And at your young age, it's even more significant, the consequences.
I understand, Master. I know about significant decisions. Qui-Gon said Jedi training was difficult, that it would be a hard life. I saw a magic man with a sword made out of light and a starship. I was a slave on a world made with dust. What was I going to say? No? I know my training isn't complete. I have more to learn, and I know I can learn some of it from you and the other Jedi. But not all of it. I can feel the galaxy calling to me, Master. I need to answer. I don't want to wait. This doesn't have to be forever. I can always come back.
Very well, Anakin.
For years, something's always called out to Anakin. Something greater. Something far larger. He always thought he was destined for way more than a Jedi's light, but he wasn't sure what. Now he was certain. Mandalore. It had to be Mandalore. For over 10 years, he's been treated like an outcast here, like a nobody. But he saw the way the Mandalorian people treated him, how they looked at him, how they honored him. That was where he belonged. Now he finally has the chance to do more with his life, more than a Jedi's life. So Anakin took a deep breath and said the words he thought he'd never say.
Thank you, Masters, for everything. But consider this my official resignation from the Jedi Order.
In time, the council meeting came to a close, and although every single council member was shocked at what Anakin had just said, he knew it had to be done. So after the meeting, Anakin went to speak with the two people he cared most about in this world, and told them everything. These two people were of course Padme and his Padawan Ahsoka. He told them what happened to Obi-Wan, what went down on Mandalore, and most of all, his decision to leave the Jedi Order.
I don't know what to say, Annie.
Are you sure this is what you want?
I'm certain.
I understand. I can't say I blame you, especially considering how the Council reacted to Obi-Wan's death. But I can't do this here alone. I'm coming with you.
Anakin was shocked.
What?
Lady Bo-Katan and I have had our issues in the past. But if it means being by your side, I'm sure we can come to a resolution.
Anakin smiled. He was so thrilled.
Ahsoka? Could we have a moment?
Of course.
Ahsoka nodded and left the room.
Padme,
The Jedi Order was your life. It's all you dreamt about. It's everything you sacrificed for.
I know,
But at the same time, you were never meant to be a follower, Annie. You were born a leader. If this is what you think you should do, then I trust your judgment. This path, it's calling to you.
Thank you, my love.
But can you promise one thing, Annie?
Anakin went quiet.
With you now on Mandalore, we won't see each other like we used to. So can you promise me that when this war is over, can we do what we always planned? Can we still raise our family and be together?
I would want nothing more, Padme. I would want nothing more.
In time, Ahsoka and Anakin departed for Mandalore, and as they arrived, they were greeted by many Mandalorian soldiers once again, as well as Bo-Katan herself. At first, Ahsoka and Bo-Katan gave each other a strange look due to their previous history, but after a while they shook hands and understood that this was a new chapter. Now they were allies, and Anakin Skywalker was their leader.
No outsider has ever ruled Mandalore. Unfortunately, except for Maul. but you defeated him in combat, and you freed our people from terror. So now, Anakin Skywalker, I present you with the dark saber.
Anakin held the saber, and as he did, he ignited it and raised it above his arm. Today marked a new chapter, a new beginning, a new journey.
For Mandalore!
For Mandalore!
One year had passed since Anakin became the leader of Mandalore, and since then, he had become a much more powerful and calm warrior had he ever stayed as a Jedi. He was finally respected, he didn't have to hide his relationship with Padme anymore, and most of all, he was making a positive impact on Mandalore. Ever since Anakin became their leader, he learned everything about Mandalorian traditions, customs, and the entire history of their existence. He also learned that he actually wasn't the first Mandalorian Jedi, as years ago there was one named Tar Vizsla who also created the Darksaber. This fascinated Anakin, and in time he really started to hone in on the Mandalorian customs and embraced it. However, that's not all. In time, he also upgraded his armor. Not long after he rose to power, the Mandalorian armorers built him a silver Beskar suit and helmet to go along with it. At first, it took Anakin some time to get accustomed to it, since it was a lot heavier than his Jedi robes, but with a few modifications, he began to get used to it and loved it. Back when he was a Jedi, Anakin designed his Jedi tunics to be more resistant to blaster bolts and lightsaber strikes, so now wearing Beskar, he felt even more unstoppable. Over this past year though, Anakin also made sure that Mandalore had a good relationship with the Republic. Although the Mandalore system was a neutral system and was going to stay that way due to their independent warrior culture, they were far from enemies. Regardless of his issues with the Jedi, having a good relationship with the Republic was important to Anakin, and in time was vital to Mandalore's success. At times even, many of the Republic's clone battalions would fight side by side with the Mandalorians, and they racked up many victories together over the past year. Throughout it all, Anakin, Ahsoka, and Bo-Katan all became crucial leaders to the Mandalorians, and with the three together, Mandalore flourished. Now 1 year later, Anakin stood within his throne as he received a transmission to visit Coruscant. Chancellor Palpatine's advisor had contacted Anakin since Palpatine wanted to meet with him. Unfortunately though, Anakin didn't know why, but since the Chancellor was a longtime close friend, he knew better than to question it. So, Anakin departed for Coruscant, and in time he met with the Chancellor in his office.
Anakin, it's been far too long. What a delight it is to see you again. Although I must admit, I hardly recognized you beneath all that armor.
Anakin nodded.
Pleased to see you as well, Chancellor.
I am very impressed by your recent success as leader of Mandalore. You've done remarkable things over there. You should be very proud of your accomplishments.
I'm just doing my job, Chancellor.
Ah, yes, something the Jedi Council never allowed you to do. You broke away from their lies, their control. And now look at you. You've become a far greater warrior had you remained with him.
Anakin paused.
I'm just doing what needs to be done.
Palpatine smiled.
So, you wanted to see me?
Yes, Anakin. There are other matters I wish to discuss. Now, we can both agree that you and I have developed a strong relationship over the years. You might even say it goes a bit further than politics.
Well, yes. You've been like a mentor to me.
Which is why I must tell you what has recently transpired concerning your wife, Senator Amidala.
Anakin felt cold.
What about her?
This is not going to be easy to hear, Anakin, but an advisor of mine informed me that she was recently leaving the apartment of a male senator. I understand you both have not seen each other as much recently, but her having an affair was something I was certainly shocked about and felt you needed to know.
Anakin clenched his fist. Rage swelled within him. Every ounce of his body flared up.
I hesitate to speak on such things, but I would not be a friend if I withheld it. It may be nothing, though, of course. Rumors at times are just rumors.
Anakin stayed silent. No, Padme would never cheat on him. She wouldn't, right?
You care deeply for her, but that can cloud clarity. There are ways to see the truth.
How so?
You've had visions before. Moments of insight, glimpses beyond the present. As you've experienced with your mother, you've been able to see visions of the future, but you've never learned to control them, to summon them on demand. With guidance, those moments can become something more precise.
Anakin paused. He had no words, but something felt off. Something felt odd.
How do you know that?
I've studied many aspects of the Force, Anakin. My mentor taught me everything I know, even the nature of the dark side.
You know the dark side?
Anakin, if one is to understand the great mystery, one must study all its aspects, not just the dogmatic narrow view of the Jedi.
Anakin stared into Palpatine's eyes. However, as he did, something hit him. A moment in his past that he remembered far too well.
But you don't realize it. But soon you will. You will belong to him. Darth Sidious.
Maul. Maul's warning. Why was he hearing this now? Why was he seeing this now? But then... Mandalore. It was being bombed. Why? Unless...
You're the Sith Lord.
I know this matter is troubling you. Listen to me.
No. I know your plans. I know your deception.
Are you going to kill me?
I would certainly like to.
I know you would. I can feel your anger. It gives you focus. Makes you stronger.
Anakin closed his eyes beneath his mask. He knew what this was. This was a trick. So, using his other hand, he pressed his comm link to contact Ahsoka and Bo-Katan right away. Although he wasn't sure of his future, he had to make sure they were ready.
Skywalker just contacted me. He's not saying anything. I hear the Chancellor speaking, though.
Is he in danger?
I'm not sure, but we must depart for Coruscant right away.
You have a choice, Anakin. You can remain the leader of warriors, or I can show you power beyond what you're capable of. You're a leader, yes, but by any means you're not becoming more powerful, are you? You're by far superior than any of our soldiers.
They're more than just my soldiers. They're my family.
With that, Anakin then leaped towards Palpatine, and out of nowhere, Palpatine pulled out his red lightsaber and blocked him.
Very good, Anakin. Very good.
Anakin pushed forward, and now it was a battle between him and Palpatine. The two clashed in the Chancellor's office as beams of red and black soared through the room. However, as they dueled, Palpatine began to overpower Anakin. Although Anakin was strong, Palpatine was just way more powerful. He was swift, quick, and most of all, he was always one step ahead. So, as the fight went on, Palpatine's strikes only became more and more powerful until eventually he was able to push Anakin back and knock the darksaber out of his hands. Now, Anakin was defeated and Palpatine had won.
I give you one final chance, Skywalker. Join me or die.
As Palpatine said this, he pointed his blade right at Anakin's throat. He was defeated. He had nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. He had lost. But then...
Halt!
Anakin and Palpatine turned around. Before them stood Yoda, Mace Windu, Plo Koon, and Kit Fisto.
You are under arrest, Sith Lord. Surrender.
And if I don't?
Palpatine swung his saber back and was about to strike Anakin, but then... Out of nowhere, Yoda force-pulled Palpatine's saber out of his hands, and as he did, Kit Fisto and Plo Koon charged towards Palpatine and arrested him. With that, Palpatine was now in handcuffs and he had lost.
You make a grave mistake, Jedi.
Tell that to the Senate. You both. Let's take him in together.
Plo Koon and Kit Fisto nodded, and from there they all left holding the Chancellor. As they did though, Yoda stayed behind with Anakin. As Anakin watched them leave the room, he then looked at Yoda and was filled with rage. He didn't want help. He didn't need assistance, especially not from them.
What are you doing here?
Thank your Padawan and Lady Bo-Katan, you can. Contacted us, they did.
I see. Well, there's a reason I contacted them and not you. I'm surprised you all came to save me, especially after you couldn't do the same for Obi-Wan.
Yoda paused.
Wrong we were, young Skywalker. An apology I owe you.
For what?
When pronounced dead, Master Obi-Wan was. Devastated I was. For weeks, consumed by his death I was.
Anakin's emotions shifted.
You You were?
Yoda nodded.
I didn't know. I just thought you and the rest of the council didn't care.
A grave mistake we made by allowing Obi-Wan to go alone to Mandalore. However, more powerful he is now. Far more powerful.
What are you talking about?
Leader of Mandalore you are, and proud of you I am. But, if you wish, one more lesson as a Jedi I have for you.
A lesson?
How to commune with your old master. I will teach you.
You mean you can teach me to speak with Obi-Wan?
Anakin was reluctant. For the past year, he carried anger towards the Jedi and their manipulative ways. But if what Master Yoda was saying was true, he couldn't refuse that. He couldn't refuse reuniting with his brother.
Okay.
Yoda nodded.
Now come, much to discuss we have.
10 years had passed since Palpatine was arrested, and since then, peace had truly been restored to the galaxy. After all this occurred, he was sent to trial, and after weeks and weeks of countless research and finding evidence, the Senate was able to prove that Palpatine was behind both sides of the war. With that, he was given a punishment of the death penalty, and in time, Palpatine was executed. As a result, the Clone Wars finally came to an end, all because of Anakin Skywalker's discovery. Many Jedi such as Mace Windu and Yoda were impressed by Anakin's discovery, and because of what he did, they even offered him to return back to the Jedi Order with a seat on the Council. However, to their surprise, Anakin rejected that offer. Mandalore was Anakin's home now. The Mandalorians were his people, and he would never leave them. Although the Jedi were shocked that he rejected this, more than anything, Yoda understood and kept close with Anakin to teach him how to commune with Obi-Wan. Despite it still not happening, Anakin definitely had the right training and was ready, so he hoped that one day he would be able to speak to him. With the Clone Wars now at an end, Padme had also retired from her senator duties, and over this past decade, she lived with Anakin on Mandalore. The two were seen as the royal family of Mandalore, and even more than that, they also welcomed twins into their lives. Their names were Luke and Leia, two young Force-sensitive beings that were also trained in the Mandalorian ways. With that though, peace was now established again, and now 10 years later, Anakin stood on his balcony until something unexpected happened. He heard a voice he knew far too well.
I'm proud of you, Anakin.
Anakin turned around. It was him. It was really him.
Obi-Wan.
You've done what nobody believed you could do, Anakin. You fulfilled the prophecy and brought balance to the Force.
Where have you been? I've been trying so hard to speak to you.
I was always here, Anakin. You just weren't ready to see me yet.
Anakin smiled.
I've missed you, Obi-Wan.
I've missed you too, Anakin. But I'm not here to be all sappy with you. Master Yoda did teach you how to commune with me, but one thing he did not teach you was how to become like me.
You mean blue?
Not blue, Anakin. Well, yes, blue, but more importantly, to retain consciousness after death. If you'd like, I would be more than honored to teach you one last lesson, my old Padawan.
I would want nothing more, Master.
Obi-Wan smiled.
Well then, come along. We have much work to do, my old friend.